Alrighty, we have not had to do one of these in quite some time now. Sprint Qualifier for the Evergreen race. And this will be everyone outside the top 30 in points for the USA Trucks Western Division. Everyone in the top 30 in points will be locked in, and you'll see these guys racing for 5 positions here tonight to figure out who goes on to the main event. Starting on the front row, you've got Alex Portolan-Wilson alongside Paulo Ladino. Then you've got Jacob Shangle and Lucas Holmes. Then you got the 26 of Jamison Thull with the 58 this week of Brandyn Proudfoot. Then you've got Nathan Mann, Luke, Daniel Paulus Jr., and Josh Drake with Chasey Playz and Gavin Legend. Our 12 truck field here for the Sprint Qualifier. 65 laps around Evergreen here. They're going to be racing to try to get into the 200 lap main event here this evening. And Alex Portolan-Wilson, this is only going to be his second attempt in the series. Here in the Sprint Qualifier tonight, hoping to get into the main event. Only your top 5 make it onto the main event. And you can see the top 5 pictured right now. Portolan-Wilson, Ladino, Shangle, Holmes, and even the 26 of Jamison Thull. Green flag waves and they get rolling here. Inside line definitely the place to be on a short track. However, Lucas Holmes and even Paulo Ladino kind of blow around the 64 truck there. With that, now they've kind of strung out single file here. And AP Wilson leading the way over Paulo Ladino, Lucas Holmes, Jacob Shangle, and now Brandyn Proudfoot up to 5th in the number 58 truck. "65 laps is not a whole lot of time to get sorted here. You know very well what you're fighting for to get into the main event here this evening. We will pay points to the remaining drivers that fail to make the main event. So as they run right now, for example, this would be 36th with Proudfoot, 37th with Nathan Mann, 38th with Luke, 39th and 40th between those two, 41st and 42nd. So everyone would still get points. Jamison Thull under attack here, side by side with Proudfoot. Proudfoot manages to maintain his position in 5th there. Interestingly enough, with our new manufacturers in the series, this goes to show us that the new manufacturers are actually faring pretty well this season, as they're all in the top 30 between Subaru and Honda. Most of our outside top 30 in points seem to be Chevy for the most part. You got 3 Chevys in the top 5, and then go even further back, you have 3 more Chevys. Make that 4 more Chevys. for a grand total of 7 out of the 12 on track to be Chevy right now. There was a moment there for Daniel Paulus. We'll go back real quick and show a quick replay on what happened there. 99 truck gets into the wall in turn 4. Carrying a little bit too much momentum there. Clips the wall, loses a couple positions. It keeps on going. AP Wilson still out front, dominating the sprint qualifier. 55 laps remain. I know this is definitely not must-watch television. That's why I'm doing it earlier in the day so that you folks, you can either skip this one, give or take. We'll go ahead and list all the drivers in it for those that want to tune in and see if their driver makes it. But there's going to be a few drivers going home here this evening that won't be able to make the main event. Quite a heated battle here between Jamison Thull and the two others within the bubble spot. Proudfoot on the outside looking in, but Proudfoot makes a pass there on Lucas Holmes. And now it's Holmes on the outside looking in. Nathan Mann catching up to this picture here. Oh, and we do have a caution here on lap 11. The 99 of Daniel Paulus. Daniel Paulus is having kind of a rough go of it already to begin with. Things go from bad to worse as the 86 clips him in the rear. Looks like, yeah, and then spins him. Oh, that's a day ender for sure. That truck got lawn darted into the retaining barrier on the inside of the track. Josh Drake knocked off one truck that he doesn't have to deal with anymore. You don't see that in real life, obviously, for logical reasons why physics would not allow for such a thing to happen. You would disintegrate if that were real. But let's keep our eyes and see exactly what happens here. I'm surprised it didn't break into the driver's cockpit there, based on how much it looked like it did. Let's see if I get a side view. That truck went 100% of the way through, impaled into the wall. You can see it just continually gets more and more damaged the longer it stays harpooned in the wall there. So Daniel Paulus's day comes to an end, and he will be credited with a 42nd place finish here at Evergreen Speedway. This allows us to get a restart with potential shot at see someone else at the front of the field. 11 trucks remain running here, all of which fighting to get into the main event later tonight. Proudfoot's your bubble driver on 5th. Lucas Holmes on the outside looking in. And often, like any short track, restarts are going to be chaotic. The West Coast has it a little bit differently, as the East Coast didn't go to a short track with a field size larger than 42. With the West Coast here, we've got a track that only holds 35. And it's gonna, it's gonna factor in that this could be, we could get someone out of this sprint qualifier that goes on to win the race later tonight. And then you would be looking at, they'd be locked into the chase after having to come through a sprint qualifier like this. I wouldn't count Alex Portolan-Wilson out, as he's looked really good in his first couple starts. He's obviously got the pace to be running towards the front of the field. And you can see, even though he's new to the series, he's taken to it like a fish to water. Or then you've got the fact that Jacob Shangle is in the sprint qualifier because he's had such a dismal season up to this point here in the Truck Series. Maybe luck can shine upon thee and get him into victory lane later in the main event. Realistically, though, I don't think your victor is going to come from the sprint qualifier. But there's obviously a lot on the line here, with this being race number 10 of 11. Everyone wants to get a win to lock their way in to the chase. And firstly, they have to make it through this sprint qualifier to even be in the talks of potentially getting that win. So lights are off on the pace truck. AP Wilson is going to lead them back to the green here. The Farmers Insurance number 25 Chevy Silverado has led every lap to this point. Closest competitor behind them, Paulo Ladino, has not quite had the pace to match him. But here we go. Back and going. 11 trucks left on track. This obviously doesn't equate for any bonus points to win it. It's just going to be seeding yourself to get into the main event. First place here is just as good as 5th place. You just have a larger cushion. And then we got Jacob Shangle under attack here. Brandyn Proudfoot making a pass. Brandyn Proudfoot gets up to 3rd here. It seems like Jacob Shangle struggling with some of the momentum there, as he's now dropped back to 5th, sitting on the bubble. Nathan Mann trying to close the gap. Nathan Mann making a pass here. That puts Nathan Mann in. Jacob Shangle out. Chasey Playz wants to... Wow, the 31 just drove it in there deep. Yeah, that wasn't going to work for the 31 of Luke, as you can see. Watch a replay on that one. He sees how big of a gap he's got to close. He just forgot to brake there, it looked like. And that's going to slow him up enough that he ain't going to close the gap. Now Jacob got back up into the top 5 here, as we've got a lot of hustle and bustle. Jamison Thull holding that transfer spot. Proudfoot up to 3rd. AP Wilson not even concerned at this point. But our bubble spot getting very heated here, as Jamison Thull holds it over Lucas Holmes. Nathan Mann and Chasey Playz not too far behind. As we're getting closer and closer to halfway through the sprint qualifier here. 65 laps in total to figure out the final 5 that'll make the main event here at the Evergreen 200 lap event. Here comes Nathan Mann. But it seems like our top 5 getting further and further away from the rest of the folks behind them. Nathan Mann struggling a little bit. Looks like he got close to the back bumper of Lucas Holmes there. They keep it clean. They don't cause any trouble. Jamison Thull has not had very many outstanding performances, but regardless here today at Evergreen, he's going to be looking for a guaranteed top 35, as there will only be 35 trucks in the main event. So even the worst he could finish is 35th, if he makes it through this sprint qualifier, that is. AP Wilson's actually going to try to catch up to lap traffic in this race. Coming through turns 3, going through turn 4. And you can just hear a difference in how healthy that truck sounds. It's running on a whole different gear ratio from the rest of the field. If you listen, this truck is not as aggressive on the noise that it's putting out. Very quiet through the turns. He's kicking into it right about halfway through the turn. You can hear the RPMs pick up mid-turn. He's just got a truck that is glued. Seems like 94 Ladino's not even picking up the pace until about 3/4 of the way through the turn. Still downshifting at the midpoint in the turn. Well, Proudfoot gets up to 3rd, bumping Jacob Shangle back to 4th. Our top 5 pretty solidly separated here at the front of the field. 6th is Nathan Mann, but it's getting harder for him to close the gap. Lucas Holmes behind that with Luke, Chasey Playz, and Gavin Legend. Then Josh Drake about to get a visit here from the leader of the race. AP Wilson looking to put the 86 truck a lap down here, right at about halfway in the sprint qualifier. Yeah, it goes to show you that even some of the new talent we get here in the series, it seems like things just start clicking right away. AP Wilson with only one official career start. His first career start was a solid top 10 finish. He wants to try and back that up, making it through the sprint qualifier here this evening, and have just as good a finish in the main event later tonight, hopefully. "30 laps to go now." Doesn't look like there's going to be a whole lot of drama for the transfer position. We could still have mechanical failures rear their ugly head, so it's not over until it's over. But it's getting increasingly harder for anyone to actually make a move on track here that's worthwhile. Hopefully y'all enjoy this. If we do more like this, it's going to be like this, where the Sprint Qualifier will be featured prior to the race on a pre-recorded recording, and the main event will go live like we always do here in the USA Trucks. I know it's going to be a factor once the chase starts. We're going to have a field of 42 drivers every week. The Sprint Qualifier races are actually going to be pretty damn exciting for the USA Trucks because it'll be 42 drivers vying for 2 positions, the top 2 spots to transfer into the main events during the chase. So you're going to have your top 20 from the east locked in and your top 20 from the west locked in. And then whoever's left over gets to duke it out each week in a sprint qualifier to determine who those last 2 drivers are going to be, joining the field of 40 for a full field of 42. I feel like there might be some boosts even awarded to sprint qualifier winners, like like a dual winner. Basically, you'll get maybe not points, because obviously at that point the only points that matter are going to be the chase points for the chase contenders. Well, and that too kind of factors in. I don't know what we're going to do about that with when the chase starts. What's going to happen to everyone else's regular standings? Where are they going to transition in, or is everyone simply just racing to race? We might have a way to figure out who's fighting for 20th on back to 40th. Which that's a very possible thing to do too. We'll have the chase points separate, obviously, but continue to rate the points basically on a fresh scale. And there might be awards for owner champions and other individual driver championships involved too. But if you think about it, you can liken this new USA Truck system to like a NFL Super Bowl playoff system. Once a team falls out of contention, they stop earning wins and losses, and it starts going to playoff wins and playoff losses. So we might just kind of inherit that train of thought or logic for the USA Trucks as well. Meaning, yeah, we're only going to have 42 trucks competing in each playoff race. But your point standings will be directly tied to if you make that race or not. So definitely, I got a lot on my plate, and I'm trying to make it the most crystal clear without it being too confusing. AP Wilson about to catch up to 5th place to put 5th place a lap down. He is now caught up to Jamison Thull. And with ease, he's going to put Jamison Thull a lap down. But it doesn't really make a big difference for Thull, as Thull still sits in 5th. He'll be able to transfer here. AP Wilson is just on a Sunday cruise this fine Wednesday evening. Jacob Shangle in 4th, Brandyn Proudfoot in 3rd, and Paulo Ladino in 2nd. Definitely a good showing for Ladino, one of the grizzled veterans of the series. Seems like they've been putting a lot of work and effort into that 94 team to get them at least competitive with the field. Might not be race winning competitive, but at least they're trying to put together some good runs here in the USA Trucks West Division. We're down to 15 laps to go here in the Sprint Qualifier. And with 15 laps to go, remember, 15% with Geico. Oh, the 58 hit the wall pretty hard there. I figured I'd throw in some little random Easter egg. 15 minutes online can save you 15% or more with Geico. Fourth, going a lap down here is Proudfoot. Kissed the wall there. Still in a transfer position, but we'll keep an eye on this 58 truck to make sure he didn't fall too much further out of the picture. Down to 12 laps to go, or rather 11 laps to go, since our leader is on lap 54 of 65. Just a matter of time before he catches up to second place Paulo Ladino. Next on his radar here, because we only have 2 trucks on the lead lap in this Sprint Qualifier. Short of anything miraculous happening here, it looks like Chasey Playz is probably going to be out of the main event here. Lucas Holmes likely going to be out. Gavin Legend to be out. And Nathan Mann to be out. Jamison Thull, Brandyn Proudfoot, Jacob Shangle still just need to hold on here for 10 more laps. Avoid having a mechanical failure or getting into a dust up with lap traffic. As there's only 8 laps to go now. Alex Portolan-Wilson has led every lap and is on par to lead the remaining laps here, short of something going terribly wrong. His closest competition in second is right in front of him, so he's about to put the entire field 1 lap down. That'd be a moral victory for Paulo Ladino to still hold on for the lead lap here and keep Portolan-Wilson behind him. Five laps to go this time by. And Paulo Ladino doing what he needs to do to stay on the lead lap. No drama for our 5th, 4th, and 3rd place drivers, as it looks like we're about to set the main event here this evening. Obviously, no points are going to be doled out here. Nothing exactly is determined from the sprint qualifier other than who will fill out the remainder of the main event field. But you got to give Alex Portolan-Wilson some credit here for being as strong as he looked here in the sprint qualifier. Trying to send a message to the rest of the field that he's here to play. It'd be even crazier if he could somehow find his way to win the race in the main event and even lock his way into the chase with only 2 races. That seems like a rule book that we might need to approach someday, is figuring out if that's a fair method of allowance. But current rules, there's nothing against it. So if Portolan-Wilson was able to win a race in these last 2 races, he would be locked into the chase, knocking out someone else that may have ran all 11 races and had a better points standing than him. Going to be white flag this time by, as he's about to put Chasey Playz a second lap down here. Massive run. He's going to try to pass him on the outside. Better be careful he doesn't get side by side and wreck out of the race here on the last lap. Paulo Ladino is going to hold on to the lead lap here. Alex Portolan-Wilson is going to be your sprint qualifier winning driver. Also transferring alongside Paulo Ladino is Brandyn Proudfoot, Jamison Thull, and Jacob Shangle, who actually kind of put up a little bit of a scare there as he started dropping backwards. Next in contention behind him would have been the 66 of Nathan Mann. But Nathan Mann comes up short, as it's going to be Jacob Shangle at his own home track here at Evergreen in Monroe, Washington, racing for potential finish here tonight in the main event. Only one accident. The 99 of Daniel Paulus got slammed into the attenuator, ending his day prematurely. And that's a wrap for the race 10 sprint qualifier. So stay tuned, folks. The main event comes on here in a little while later this evening. Sprint qualifier transfers were Alex Portolan-Wilson, Paulo Ladino, Brandyn Proudfoot, Jacob Shangle, and who was the other transfer? I just watched it, but we just saw it. So anyways, that's a wrap for the sprint qualifiers. On to the main event.